Hello and welcome everybody to this IgniteEducate video. This video is done as a part of a project for CTM 780 where I'm completing my studies at the University of Pretoria here in South Africa, Gauteng province. In this video we are going to explore how Microsoft OneNote is used as a content resource for teachers through which they can use this technology to engage with content, to improve content, to make content more interesting for their learners and also for themselves. So first of all, just a quick look at Microsoft OneNote. You can access OneNote either through a online version by just typing in OneNote on your browser. I'll quickly show you that. Microsoft OneNote, there you go. So as you can see, there is an option for you to access Microsoft OneNote online and view all your content through that as well. I do, however, prefer the desktop version just because it's an application. It makes it a little bit easier to access and also just makes working on it a little bit smoother. So first of all, let's just look at some of the features included here in Microsoft OneNote. So first things first, when we look at the top of Microsoft OneNote, we can see there's a home section, there's an insert section, there's a drawing section, a view section, and a help section. The help section is actually very nice because you can also give feedback or show training. So there's training available for you to attend directly through the desktop application, and also a look at all the new features available. As you can see, there's a whole range of new features which was launched quite recently. Here on the left hand side you have your option of notebooks. So as you can see, I have 2 available notebooks. For today we're just going to work from Martin's notebook. So firstly, before we get into all the features there at the top, we can see that we can add a section on the left hand side. So let's say, for instance, we are starting with grade 4 mathematics. We are starting with grade 4 mathematics today, and the page is titled fractions. Let's say fractions is the topic we will be dealing with today. So you can then add a bunch of new pages, for instance, also whole numbers. There you go. So now these appear as different pages in a book, as if you would have paged on to a new section. You can also say that you want to make a sub page. So we can have a bunch of sub pages within one main page just to keep everything nice and organized for yourself and not to get confused. For now, I'm just quickly going to work through some of the features of this text piece that I have right here. So as you can see, OneNote is quite similar to what you would have in Microsoft Word. We can copy and paste text. We can make it bold, we can make it italic, we can underline it just to make it stand out. We can highlight it. We can also change the text color. So let's now say, for instance, Microsoft there is just red. So now it just stands out. We are working with Microsoft OneNote today. So teachers can then paste any content piece that they might be interested directly in Microsoft OneNote and work with the text piece to make it stand out a little bit more for learners, highlight important pieces, etc. And just engage a little bit with the content. So that's the first feature. We are looking at text. We are also then looking, as you can see, it's almost as if we created a text box in Word. The text box can obviously move around, and then we can also use the feature bullet point feature. So start with home features, move to drawing next, which is the next section we will be covering. So the home features are then all these features. We can copy and paste as well from the clipboard. I think right now this text piece is on the clipboard. So let's just have a look at that. There you go. So you can see I just immediately pasted this directly from a Google Doc that I'm currently working on. You can do everything that you would normally be able to do, increase the size, decrease the size, etc. So that's about it for home. We can also use headings, etc., as you would in a doc. Then next up, we've got insert. So we can use these features. Let me just delete, or I'm not going to delete it. Let's just keep it there. We can use a table and say, okay, so for example, a list of features. So a list of features that helps, oh well, that relates to content. List of features that relates to interactive learning. There you go. So a list of features. So something like we can insert files, etc. So you can make a table. You can do everything you would possibly want to do with a normal text. You can also do within the table itself. You can highlight specific blocks of information, etc. So you can insert a table. You can also insert a specific file. So I've prepared something here for you. Let's say I want to insert, let me just quickly get, yeah, there you go. I want to insert a document within this, on this canvas as a file. So I can either say insert as a printout, a OneDrive link, or as an attachment. If you insert it as an attachment, you'll be redirected to a different page. So it'll basically open the document on your computer. What I like doing is to just, don't know why that didn't work. Let's just quickly try that again. So let's insert the document as a printout. Sorry. Let's see what happens. There we go. So now this document is inserted within OneNote as a PDF file. So we can now engage with this piece of content as we like. Obviously, adjust how much space it takes up, etc. Make it bigger, make it smaller, just so it's ideal for the user to engage with it. Right, I'm going to keep it just as it is, as it was uploaded. There we go. Then a nice feature we have is that we can take this document, because right now the problem is that if we click on it, it's actually going to think that we want to move it around. So we can say, set the picture as the background. Now, as you can see, I can't move it. I can tap on it, but it's almost as if it's printed on this open canvas. And this document is now lying there. So I can insert files, I can insert a printout, I can insert a picture as well, for example, either from online or from your camera. Let's just insert the little Google Meet badge there. So you can insert pictures and discuss it or work with it, rotate it. You can also insert online videos, insert links, insert audio files. I'm not going to give access right now because we are already making a recording of this class. We can insert mathematical symbols. We can insert equations as we would also do in Word. And we can do math. So OneNote actually has the ability to do math and solve math equations for you. So that is quite nice. Today we're not going to focus too much on that because we want to use the teacher as the math solver and not the computer in this instant. However, it is quite a useful feature if you want your learner to just check his own equation. So let's say, for instance, we've got something like 3x plus 4 equals 2. And we want this computer to now solve this for us. So we are selecting this piece of content and we are saying, yes, please do the math for me. Fix it. Done. Select an action. We can say solve for x and it immediately solves x for us. We can also make it show us the steps of how this was solved. We can graph it. But this is not grade 4 level. This is definitely grade 10 level. and then, I don't know, graph it in 2D. A little bit of a weird one there. So that's the insert math feature, which means that students can automatically check whether their solution was correct without having to necessarily struggle or get it wrong. There we go. So that's the drawing. So that's just about it for the insert functions. Next up, we get to drawing, which you have already seen a little bit of. So drawing is very nice because we have an array of tools here at the top which we can use to engage with a content section like this. So this is a document that I inserted. Breuke is fractions. Just zoom in a little bit so my handwriting can come across a little bit better. Delete that. So fractions. Okay. So here at the top, we have an array of drawing features included. So we can use different colored pens, fractions. The Afrikaans for fractions is breuke, which we have there. So now we can write on this document as you would write on a piece of paper. So today's date is the 26th of the 5th of 2021. We can write on the document. We can use a different bunch of pens, different colored pens, very quickly and efficiently. That's the date today. We can use our highlighter to say, for instance, the top number there is the teller or the numerator. And the denominator is there at the bottom. So this means that students can essentially sit in their homes and you can use a program like Google Meet or Microsoft Teams or Zoom, and you can just share your screen and present your screen, and students can sort of experience what it would have been like if you had written on the board in front of the class, as an example. The alternative is to use the share function, but we'll get to the share function in a little while. So the drawing tools then include different colored pens. You can even use funky pens in very big sizes. This is like it's colorful. It looks almost like the Google badge there. So if you want to have fun and draw something and color it in with your students, you can also do that. We can also use the eraser tool to erase things. We can use the selection or lasso tool to select specific content pieces that we want to move around the screen. So now we are moving this specific picture to a different location. This feature is very useful if we want to, for example, explain something, and then in the middle of our explanation, so while we're still explaining fractions, our students ask us something like, but sir, how can we add fractions? And then we realize, oh, okay, but there's not enough space here to explain all of this content. So we just select a specific piece of content. Let me just move it down a little bit. There we go. So we select a specific piece of content, and we can then, for instance, move it down to the bottom of the page so that we are sure that we have enough space left. And then we can talk. We can add 3/5 to 2/5, which gives us 5/5 equal to 1 whole unit. And we can explain how these different sections of information relate to one another without losing any valuable information as you would necessarily have on with a pen and paper, traditional pen and paper. So those are the drawing tools. We also have some shapes, 2D shapes and 3D shapes, as well as graphs. So that's very nice. If you want to just explain a linear function, for example, you can draw the lines there and name it. Say y is x plus 3, with the intersection there being 0, 3, as an example. Nice features that we have. We can change the page color to make it, for example, make it black. or make it gray or red, whatever color you might like. I like sticking to white mostly, just because it makes the information stand out a little bit more. But I know people like Salcon often use or always use black. So we can change the page color, we can change the page width, the zoom, and this is a nice feature. We can also add lines, insert lines, very big or small lines to our drawings or to our canvas, which then helps you to, let me just get my pen out, purple, blue, right in a straight line. Okay, so that helps us to write in a straight line, for example. You can also use the blocked grid format if you want to draw, for example, a specific shape and highlight to the students that it must, if it's a square, the length and the width of the shape needs to be the same. Let me just get my line out again. There we go. So now we use it 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, just to draw a shape there and explain to the students that it's very important that all these sides be exactly the same. You can know your traditional marks there. So it's these 4 sides are the same. The angles are 90 degrees, and this makes this a square. This makes it a square. So those are some of the drawing and background features that we have, and then the help feature. So this is, as I said, a very, very cool content resource for teachers to engage with content and explain as they are engaging with the content. The learners might then, for example, have this worksheet in front of them, whether it be in your class or at home, and you as the teacher can use your drawing tools here to do the worksheet with them, even if you're not with them physically. And it just gives the maths teacher specifically a little bit more freedom to actually work with the students, where PowerPoint is quite restrictive in the capabilities that you have, because math is an inquiry subject. You want students to ask you a question like, sir, but what happens if the, sorry, I'm just quickly coloring this half. Your students might ask you something like, sir, but what if we color in the bottom of this shape, or if we draw the line like this diagonally and we color, is it still a half? And the answer is yes. The answer is yes. It doesn't matter what the shape looks like, what the division in two looks like, as long as both sides are equal in size. So this is one of the 2 parts, for example, which means that it is a half. Even if the shape were drawn like this, just make sure that it's a square, and we, instead of splitting it up like that, we split it up like this. There we go. And if this side were colored in, this would still be a perfect half. This is still 1/2 because exactly one of the 2 parts is colored in. And look how nice that is. That's almost like writing 1/2. Another feature of Microsoft OneNote that I would like to highlight and just focus on a little bit is the fact that OneNote allows you an incredible working space. So you can work here and then, for instance, take out or write down let me just the main learning, black pen. So main learning curves after a day of teaching and learning. And you can say that, okay, we have something called equivalent fractions, like 1 over 2 and 2 over 4 and 4 over 8. Any part of the shape can be colored in and equal in size. So those are our main learning curves after this class. So this is where a product like Microsoft OneNote outperforms something like Liveboard, which is another free app which helps teachers to collaborate remotely and write remotely. Our canvas size is very limited, and even though we can start a new page, which is absolutely fine, we can start new pages, but the canvas and the space that we can work on is much more restrictive than it is in OneNote. The same counts for Google's Jamboard. So there's one or two things that I don't really like about Google Jamboard as much. As you can see, the smoothness of my writing, not that I have the best handwriting in the world, but the smoothness of my handwriting, if I actually try to write good and writing. So if I try to write in a nice handwriting, Google is way more stocky for me. It's almost as if it can't smooth out the edges on your writing. Good. Oh, that's bad. And writing. As you can see, the difference in how well rounded off the writing is between the two is very clear for me. So I like OneNote on this front. It's a bit of a plus for me. Just makes my handwriting look a little bit more smooth and well rounded off. So there you have it for Microsoft OneNote. And now for the remainder of this class, I'll just quickly finish this worksheet with my students. Enjoy your day.